Rockets after punches were thrown last night in L.A. by Chris Paul, Rajon Rondo, and Brandon Ingram. I'm Jeff Biggs. This is NBC Sports Radio.
NBC News Radio, I'm Tom Roberts. Hundreds of Mexican police stand ready to meet a caravan of thousands of Central American immigrants now nearing their southern border. Lisa Carter reports.
The migrants claim they're fleeing poverty and violence and are making their way to the U.S.-Mexico border. President Trump has threatened to shut down that border with National Guard troops to stop them from entering the U.S.
U.S. officials are targeting a Russian woman for election interference. NBC legal correspondent Pete Williams.
Her name is Elena Kushyanova. She's 44. She's from St. Petersburg. Now, she's been charged here, but obviously she's not in the United States, so she's not under arrest.
The indictment is not related to Special Counsel Robert Mueller's investigation of Russian interference in the 2016 presidential election. Wisconsin police are providing troubling new details about the disappearance of 13-year-old Jamie Kloss. The teen went missing Monday shortly before her parents were found dead in their home. Investigators say a 911 call placed from the Kloss home came from her mother's phone. Deputies responded and found the door had been kicked in, and both Denise Kloss and her husband James had been shot. Jamie was believed to have been in the home at the time of the incident, but police have been unable to locate the teen and fear for her safety. The U.S. is calling off a scheduled air defense drill with South Korea to give nuclear talks with the North a better chance of success. Defense Secretary James Mattis and his South Korean counterpart made the decision at a meeting today in Singapore. Who wants to be a billionaire? Lottery officials now say tonight's Mega Millions jackpot will be worth $1 billion. These folks would immediately stop working if they won.
Quit my job. That would be the first thing I'd do.
I would not go back into the office the next day. Absolutely not.
Well, the boss is my uncle. I'll probably start my own business somewhere else and, peace, uncle.
The jackpot is second to a 2016 Powerball jackpot, which was worth $1.5 billion. This weekend would be a good time to make a wish on a falling star. The Orionid meteor shower will peak on Sunday night. You're listening to the latest from NBC News Radio.
How many commercials do you hear every day claiming to be the best weight loss program ever? The only problem, you spend a lot of money, you lose the weight, you gain it back. Plus, when all it takes is adding protein to your diet. Protein gives you what you need and reduces hunger. NutriPro is pure protein. It's not the newest fad. It's not the latest weight loss program, but it helps to stop those daily cravings safely. There's no magic. It's simply a 2-ounce shot of protein taken twice a day, 20 grams of pure, clean protein in every shot with absolutely no carbs, no fat, and no sugar. Feel full faster and keep feeling full longer. It never requires refrigeration, mixing, or dilution. It is simply easy access to protein anytime, anywhere. But it's not available in stores. It's available directly from the manufacturer. Go to myproteinnow.com and try a 20-count trial pack today. Go to myproteinnow.com for a special introductory offer, including shipping. Do it right now. myproteinnow.com.
It's time to say see you later, alligator, to embarrassing and troublesome issues with your skin, nails, and hair with all-natural Cayman alligator oil. Cayman oil is locally made, right in Louisiana, where people have been using alligator oil for centuries to treat all kinds of ailments. A drop a day of Cayman oil can help you say see you later, alligator, to athlete's foot, nail fungus, acne, eczema, rashes, dry skin, cuts, infections, MRSA, scars, burns, sunburns, and even ingrown hair and dandruff. If you or someone you know is tired of suffering with any of these skin, nail, and hair troubles, you need to visit mycayman.com to learn more about 100% natural, non-toxic, hypoallergenic Cayman oil and get a bottle today. Say see you later, alligator, with Cayman alligator oil at mycayman.com. That's mycayman.com. mycayman.com.
Re-elect Riverside County Sheriff Stan Sniff on November 6th because Sheriff Sniff will keep our families safe. Let's keep a proven and experienced leader in this critical office as he continues to modernize our Sheriff's Department by integrating technology tools for his deputies and dramatically improving their training and equipment. Vote for experience, proven leadership, and integrity. Vote to re-elect Riverside County Sheriff Stan Sniff on November 6th. Paid for by Friends of Stan Sniff 2018.
It's that time of year again for the second annual KCAA Trunk or Treat, Sunday, October 28th at the Tri-City Shopping Center in Redlands. This is one of our biggest events of the year, and it's open to kids and families of all ages. What better way to enjoy a safe, fun, and entertaining Halloween than to be surrounded by classic cars, food vendors, booths, and more. Oh, and free candy for the kids. The KCAA Trunk or Treat in Redlands, October 28th at the Tri-City Shopping Center, where the 10 and the 210 meet between the Alabama and Tennessee exits. More info available at 909-793-1065.
All right. Good morning. How are you? This is Empire Talk Now. I'm Wallace Allen here on the case for truth and justice with the right information to help improve the situation. I'm delighted to be here. There are so many things that could have happened to me and you since last time we were together. So I'm glad to be here. Hope everything is exciting to you and that you're pumped up about life and making contributions to other folk, even those folk who disagree with you. As a matter of fact, those are probably the most important people in the world, the folks who disagree with you, the folks who agree. Very important, but we get along based on how well we do with the folks who disagree with us. You know, the ones who decide that they want that lane that you're driving in, the ones that decide they want that parking spot. You know, we make a lot of compromises every day getting along with people, and we have to do that, and I'm glad that you are of the frame of mind to share that lane with me, to let me get a little ahead of you if I have to do that while we're driving, because I'm willing to do the same thing. We make that compromise daily. We get along with each other. You can think of all of the good things that we do on a daily basis. Most of the time we in the news journalism business pick out the things that are outstanding because they cause disruption. And as we point to those disrupting things on a daily basis, some of us get so hung up that we think that that is what it's all about, the disruption, the demonstration of anger, the putting other people in their place, you know, the mean things that we can say, accumulate. You know, when I was young, there was a game we, the fellas, used to play, signifying. Talk bad about each other, you know, make each other get a little mentally tough, get ready for the mean, cruel world out there. But we knew we were playing. You know, we'd talk about, oh, you got a big nose. Oh, they got hair growing out of your eyeballs. All kind of crazy stuff we talk about just to, I don't know, I guess to build up the toughness. But there's things that, okay. We've got an issue here in the United States about our border. Migrants, illegal, legal. We have an issue that argues about our mission as a nation. You know, we have a big Statue of Liberty that was given to us by another nation, by France. France gave us the Statue of Liberty. Interesting story. You may want to go back. The original Statue of Liberty was a black lady, but they kind of changed it around. But the whole point that I'm wanting to make is that as one generation that I'm familiar with we grew up with the attitude that America is all about open arms and welcoming people and making the world a better place, not just for where we are, but for others. And I think that's a good thing. And I think there are certain people who may have grown up with another attitude saying America is my security blanket, and the one thing that I want to be able to do is be sure that America stays the way it is so that my children and grandchildren can reap the benefits of my hard work, et cetera, et cetera. So we've got, you know, at least those two views, and surely at least those two views have been prevalent throughout the existence of America. Some people want to close the doors, some people want to open the doors. You know, why would we want to not take care of the hungry and the poor and the weak and the children? How that makes sense to me? That's a great question. You know, I want to do that. I don't want to see people suffer. I don't want to see children hungry. I don't want to hear kids crying in pain. I don't want to see the look on a parent's face when they can't take care of that child, when they know that they have not been able to secure their child that they brought into the world. Bad thing. But there's some issues. Now, let's look at, for instance, the large group of people that are approaching the United States from Guatemala, have to come through Mexico, big in the news. I think at one point they said there were several thousand people. We saw an image of them crossing the bridge from Guatemala into Mexico, and it just seemed like a lot of people. Now, I've been to some small towns. I've been to some towns where, you know, you drive through and it says, "Welcome to Smallville," you know, 200 people, 300 people, 1,000 people. Moving a couple of thousand people from one country to another in a marathon walk, that's pretty that's pretty interesting. I mean, that's like moving a little city, a little town at least. You know, if you've got a town, you know, you've got some services that are required in order for a town to exist. And to have a moving town certainly implies pretty good organization if necessary. If it's going to be a successful town moving, it's got to be pretty organized. It's got to make way for water and food, and most importantly, how do you deal with the waste? It's just, how do you do that? So when we have a small town of people moving from one jurisdiction to another, we have probably a trail of evidence. Either it's a trail that's evidencing their movement because of how unable they were to hide the fact that they were moving. In other words, did you leave it the way you found it, or did you have to change it as you went through? As you have 2,000 people moving along a trail, what do you do with their waste? What do you do with the empty water bottles? What do you do with the paper wrappings? What do you do with the personal excrement and things like that? What do you do with that? So you either are going to be a great example of how you handle that, or a great example of how you don't handle it. But anyway, there's going to be some evidence as you move along. So if you're moving into an area where they don't have all of the facility, I mean, you see, listen, we're going to take a short break. When we come back, I'm trying to take two sides. If we don't understand that it's important to talk to people who see things differently from us, we'll never be able to issue a compromise or decide that, hey, let this guy in the lane. I don't need to cause road rage. The little 5 seconds he's trying to save, it's not that important to me. If it's that critical to him, let him have it. You know, this big truck's coming along, you know, and it's my lane. And no, we make that compromise. So we have to understand that, and we shouldn't have to be confronted with death. You know, if I get in this lane, that truck's going to run me over. We should be able to compromise because there's other people who have a need, and it's not really going to make that much difference in our life. But when we're moving 3,000 people across one border, or 2,000 people across one border, or 200 people across one border to the next, there's issues. We have to deal with that. I don't want to have to deal with that. I want to just open the border. Let's let the people in. Let's feed them. Let's analyze what we can do to help them and how they're going to help us, and let's go forward. But yeah, that's true. If we don't have enough toilet paper, we're going to have a problem. So how do we deal with that? This is Empire Talks Back. I'm Wallace Allen here on the Case for Truth and Justice. We're going to take a short break. We'll be right back and continue this conversation about how do you get along with people who are different from you? How do we do that? Well, I don't know, but we do it every day. We'll be right back.
I'm so tired of the buffering on my smartphone.
I'm so over it. Next.
right? I am so over it. Next.
A radio? Next.
No buffering, just your favorite local radio station?
Next Radio uses the FM tuner that is already built into your phone, so you can listen to your favorite stations on the go. Because Next Radio uses the FM tuner already built into your smartphone, it saves on data and battery usage. When compared to streaming audio, Next Radio uses less than 1/10 of your data, and your battery will last 3 times longer. Next Radio, it's FM radio on your smartphone.
Introducing a radio inside your cell phone. Listen to all kinds of local radio stations, including KCAA 106.5 Yucaipa and 102.3 Riverside on Next Radio. Download the free Next Radio app today. 100% free, 100% fun, 0% buffering. Stop the buffer and listen to KCAA.
Re-elect Riverside County Sheriff Stan Sniff on November 6th because Sheriff Sniff will keep our families safe. Let's keep a proven and experienced leader in this critical office as he continues to modernize our Sheriff's Department by integrating technology tools for his deputies and dramatically improving their training and equipment. Vote for experience, proven leadership, and integrity. Vote to re-elect Riverside County Sheriff Stan Sniff on November 6th. Paid for by Friends of Stan Sniff 2000.
We're back. This is Empire Talks Back. I'm Wallace Allen, trying to get along. Trying to get along with you, hoping that you're going to share the lane with me. Let's do this thing together. You know, let's bring a little happiness into the middle of this tension. We all make compromises. Nothing wrong with that. We make them in the name of love. My wife puts up with a lot of stuff because she loves me. Whew. Boy, did she know when we met 43 years ago that I was like I am totally. No. I've surprised her. I've come up with some angles of myself that probably surprised me and certainly maybe were not what she had in mind when she said yes. But across the 43 years, she has, and we both have made some compromises. I'm happy with it. I think she's happy with it. I don't think she's plotting to. I think she's going to be home when I get home. I don't think she's packing up to leave. You wouldn't do that, would you, baby? That, like Al Green said, you wouldn't do that, would you, baby? But we do make compromises at a level that's very, very close and dear to us. But then we get mad with the guy. If you're a conservative, you get mad at the liberal. If you're a liberal, you get mad at the conservative. You don't want to speak. You don't want to talk. You want to, fortunately, we're not into burning each other's houses down. But, boy, we've got to do something to help paint each other's house. We should be willing to help replace a window in someone else's house. We should be willing to understand that maybe sometimes I may need to come and cut your grass. Why? Because it's our neighborhood. Folks, we have to do things together. And fighting and arguing about it is part of the deal, but we have to know how to come together. If I can't do it now. I'm not like it. But, if I'm out here playing basketball and you're my friend and my son, you go to the hole with the ball, something's going to happen to whoever's going to the hole with the ball. That's the responsibility of the person playing defense. And if you play good defense and I'm playing good offense, when you block the shot, you've taken us both to a good level. If I'm able to dunk on you, two things may happen. One is obviously the basket is low. The other one is I was able to make a move, and you should appreciate it too, especially if I could dunk. My point is that your competition and my competition takes us to a level that we should both appreciate, should take us to a level of excellence. But when the game is over, the game is over. When the election is over, we need to be able to come together and cooperate. If you're running for election and you tell me how important it is for you to be in charge, for you to be the leadership, for your ideas to have prominence, so you lose the election. So what happened to those great ideas? What happened to that great passion? What happened to all of those things that you wanted to see occur? Now, come on. We understand that you may be in power and make some things happen, but you do not have to be in power to make things happen. You have to have a passion. You have to have a plan. You have to have people who agree with you. And sometimes people who used to disagree with you become those folks who agree with you. Oh, Wallace, you're being idealistic. No, I'm telling you about the storm before the storm gets here. When the disaster occurs, we all come together. When the emergency occurs, we all come together. And I'm simply saying, folks, that, the emergency should not have to reach the emergency level for us to get along. Once we make a decision, oh, I know. My wife will tell you. Sometimes a decision is only made so that he can change his mind. That's true. Sometimes we have decisions that we are rock solid with, but then we change our mind. Does that mean the decision was a terrible one, or does that mean that you have become super smart and your intellect has become godlike because you saw something wrong and you changed your mind? No, it's not that deep, folks. Sometimes we just decide that we didn't want any chicken after all and we wanted to go eat somewhere else. Yeah, that's the kind of decisions we make. Those are the changes we make daily. We change our mind about little things about what we want to eat. But we also change our minds about things about like who we want to vote for, who we want to have in charge. What school should the child go to? What neighborhood are we really going to move into? Is this a good job or just a means of paying for things? Should I stay in school? Or we make major decisions. Sometimes we buy cars that don't work. What are we going to do? Sometimes we elect people who don't do what they said they were going to do. Sometimes we don't elect people who we should have elected. But we get along. We keep on moving. We've determined and we've shown that under the worst circumstances, we can still get things done. So that means you don't always have to get things your way, folks. But it does mean that when they're not coming your way, being what you thought should be yours and the way you wanted it, we've got to start convincing people. We have to cajole. We have to smile and buck dance a little bit, If I want to convince somebody, listen, if the idea is a good one, if the goal is substantial, then you may have to bend a little bit to make an approach to get people to come your way. You have to listen to what other folks have got to say about the issue if you want them to come your way, or maybe you end up going their way. But we make these compromises every day. It's not that hard. Don't allow the world to push us into these corners that say, if you don't do it the way I want you to do it, you're my enemy. If you don't wear the color clothes that I want you to wear, it's that simple, boy. It's that simple. Sometimes our arguments are so simple and so silly that if we even spend a moment trying to describe them and talk about them, we'd have to start laughing and say, wow, that's not really substantial enough for me to throw rocks at you and want to see you dead or want your house to burn down or your kids to hate you. Well, some of the things we say about each other. I mean, I do not appreciate many of the things that our president, Mr. Donald Trump, says and the way he approaches them. I'm not really happy about the way he pushes the foreign agenda, foreign affairs. I don't know. Sometimes when you press people against the wall, they come off correctly. But I say this, He does represent the United States of America. That's where I live. This is my country. My dad, uncles, forefathers, all the way back to Cousin Crispus Attucks, have fought, delivered blood to the soil of the United States. I'm not giving that up. I'm not running away. I'm not going to allow someone who I disagree with, who may be in charge, to make me leave. No. We're going to figure out a way to agree on something. And one thing that I agree with Mr. Trump about is that there's no other place on the planet that I want to live. Now, he's got plenty of money. He could go live where he wants to. Probably might do that later. But I believe that wherever he goes, he's going to come back to the United States. He's not going to go somewhere. If you do go somewhere, you're going to look for a place that looks, smells, tastes as much like the United States as possible. Because I think we all agree, as un-American as it is, it's the most American place on the planet. And if you have things in America that you don't like about America, the one thing you know about America is that you have a chance to change it. Now, where else on the planet do you have those kind of chances? I don't know. And I say that, and I know that if you know me, you could say, well, Wallace, you're a little bit inexperienced and prejudiced. Well, I'm inexperienced in that I have not been all over the world, and I am a little prejudiced in that I do like the United States, and I don't know if it's because I've never been anywhere else or because I've just compromised myself into liking it. But either way, I'm cool with it. And I think most of you are too. So that means we need to work together, pull together, and make some things happen that we like. And that means sometimes, just like my wife and I, she may want, let me see here. It may be Chinese food. We had an amazing egg roll yesterday, just amazing egg roll yesterday. Also had something that was very simple yesterday. She bought a watermelon a couple of weeks ago, and I finally juiced that bad boy up, and it was delightful. I'm saying all of that to say simple things can work for you, and simply getting along with someone else and following their idea, because the egg roll, it wasn't my idea. It wasn't even Josephine's idea. Someone suggested to us a couple of weeks ago that this place had probably the best egg rolls, and this person that made that recommendation wasn't somebody that we would want to be. But we took her advice. She was absolutely right. Egg rolls at Yee's on Slauson in L.A. Best egg roll I've had. If you know of a better place, tell me. I'd love to be wrong. That means I'd love to find one better. Listen, I'm really appreciating you guys right now. If you want to give me a call, you can do that, 909-792-5222. If you would like to disagree with me. I understand we all like to be agreed with. We all like to have people tell us, oh, you're smart. But if there's something I've said that you disagree with, I really want to know. If there's some politic I've expressed that you disagree with, let's talk it out. I think we should get along and do more for people. You may be a person that thinks we should get more involved in dependable things like robots. I don't know. We're going to take a short break. We'll be right back, and I'll talk to you about, are you a robot lover, or would you rather be the person that's controlling the robot? We'll be right back.
Attention business professionals, since 2006, the Inland Empire's largest mixer has been bringing together success-minded businessmen and women for an evening of making new connections that help grow businesses. Don't miss this opportunity to meet your next client during the 2018 Inland Empire's largest mixer on Tuesday, November 13th from 4 to 8 p.m. at the Riverside Convention Center. The IE Mixer happens only once a year. For more information, visit iemixer.com. That's iemixer.com. Inland Empire's largest mixer, where business meets business.
Why are you listening to this radio station? Why, when you can host your own radio show? You're listening and you think you can do better? You have a message or a product you want everyone to know about. Host your own radio show. Team up with the area's best radio professionals and let them make you sound like you should be on NBC. KCAA NBC Radio, that is. KCAA produces more than 50 local programs each week on subjects ranging from business and sports to political talk, vegan diets, or even marijuana-related issues. We don't just broadcast on the radio, we broadcast to the world. Online, on TV, on social media, on Facebook. You'll be all over. Imagine what your friends will say. And KCAA reaches over 5 million people on 3 radio stations. Join the staff on 1050 AM, 102.3 FM, and 106.5 FM. NBC Radio. Jump on the KCAA Express. Call 909-793-1065. That's 909-793-1065 and get ready to transmit.
Empire Talks Back. I'm Wallace Allen here on the Case for Truth and Justice with the right information to help improve the situation. I'm here to say that you are right. That's right. You're right. Everybody's right. Everybody thinks they're right. What's more right than thinking you're right? Or you could be factually wrong and passionate about your opinion and think that your opinion, because of your passion, is a fact. But if you think you're right, in your heart you're right. And you could be as wrong as acid rain. But in your heart, if you think you're right, your passion will make you argue it to the death. To the death of the argument in some cases, to the death of your actual self. If you're arguing on the highway about is it your lane or someone else's. You know, your passions have to be dealt with correctly. Now, you and I could be arguing about a point in a ping pong game, or we could be arguing about a lane on the freeway at 80 miles an hour. I might argue the point about the ping pong game a lot longer than I would about the lane at 80 miles an hour. Why? Because one is death-defying and the other is simply conversation and possibly lying. Ping pong and score, we could afford to talk about that for hours, have a couple of drinks and, you know, look at the instant replay and argue about that. And no harm, no foul. Or no foul, acknowledged, still no harm. But on the freeway, when those things that are really life and death defying, migration is death defying. We want to move a couple of thousand people from one country to another, a couple of hundred people from one country to another. Well, it's okay if they're on a plane, you go through customs and everybody's paying. I guess we do that every day. But if they're coming across the bridge, if they're moving slowly from, you know, one acre to the next, a moving town, you know, we've got the water, the lights, the electricity, the human waste, the food. If you don't have food, you're not going to keep going. And if you have food, you're going to have waste. So how do we deal with that? No, you're right. They should stay home. No, I'm right. They have the right to move. They have a right to follow their dream. They have a right to follow their passion. Oh, but they can't come across my yard and leave that kind of trash. No, you're right. They shouldn't come through your property leaving that kind of trash. But that can be cleaned up. Yeah, well, who's going to clean it up? Should I clean it up? Well, I agree. They should clean up behind themselves. That's one of the things that my mother taught me was that, you know, try to leave things better than you found them. Be a good roommate. Be a good traveler. Be a good neighbor. Make things better than the way you found them. I don't know. I've not been traveling behind that group of migrants. Maybe things are better. Maybe that bridge is in better shape today than it was yesterday. Maybe while they were there, come on, I don't know. But the point that I'm making is that we have to look at both sides of every issue if we want to understand. And there's some aspect of both sides of the issue that you can appreciate. Now, you may not want to totally agree, but we have to open the door to understanding. Everybody thinks they're right. Nobody's out here just trying to tear things up. Well, I don't know. That's why we do have some people that we regard as having mental issues. They are not wanting to get along with any aspect of society. Well, that's not true either. Maybe we need to look a little deeper at our issues of mental illness. Maybe they're a little closer to the truth than we think they are. But I can guarantee you that the people that you disagree with, they're a little closer to the truth than you think they are. Oh, yeah, I know the Dodgers, we beat Milwaukee yesterday. And we are on our way to the World Series. But guess what? There's some people in Milwaukee who, though they lost yesterday, are just as adamant about their future as a team, as a great representative of a little town in Wisconsin. Milwaukee almost set this big Southern California icon on its butt. But they didn't, but they came close. And there are some people who are slightly dissatisfied, but their passion hasn't been broken. Whereas here in L.A., we know from the beginning they didn't have a chance. Milwaukee didn't have a chance. We took the 7 games because, there'll be people that said, the baseball industry is slightly corrupt. They've just figured the Dodgers go 7 games. They didn't need to go 7 games. Dodgers could have beat them in 4. But all the way from that thought over to, we were really lucky that everybody had their stuff together this time. We're really glad that Mr. Kershaw had some stiff in his backbone and decided to get out here and not just pitch, but to come back and save the day, save the game, save the series, and move us on to the World Series. Opinions. Everybody's got one. But how do we get along with each other's opinions that we disagree with? We have that obligation to pay attention. 43 years? Josephine has put up with me 43 years? And I don't want to listen to where she says she would like to go for dinner? Be serious. I don't want to listen to her because of what kind of car she said. Be serious. I may smile and grin and argue the point, but whatever she wants, if she really wants it, I'd be stupid to stand in the way. That's my wife. This woman has stood with me for 43 years through thick and thin. And nobody knows how thick or how thin it has been. Ray Charles said it's cheaper to keep her. No, it's not just cheaper to keep her. It's much more exciting. It's much more rewarding. It's life that one was possibly didn't even know could occur when you have a real partner, someone that you know is there, that you know you're going to be there for. Well, that's pretty deep. Well, folks, we're America. If you're soldiers, if you're a co-worker, listen, if you work down at, if you work for CIW, California Institution for Women, your co-workers are very important to you. But you know what? The prisoners are very important. How you get along with them and how they get along with you and how you respond to them. We all have partnerships. Now, I would expect the security to correction officers to get along and have each other's back. But think what it's like to be in prison, an inmate. Oh, yeah, you got to get along with the other inmates, but you also have to get along with the correction officers. You have to get along in a situation where you're behind bars. there's compromise. Oh, you don't, yes, ma'am, yes, sir, and be nice to certain folk you don't want to be nice to, but it's survival. And folks, if you're not in a situation where you have to ask somebody to go to the bathroom, wait until somebody decides to feed you, you are extremely blessed. That's why when we say put together the phrase homeless, I expect some kind of compassion from a person who has a home. But then again, we could be so used to having our home and having things the way we want them that we don't understand. Why are these people out here begging? Why are they out here sleeping in the street as though they have a choice? If you see somebody sleeping in the street, you can believe that in their mind, they have no choice. As you pass them by, what kind of judgment are you passing? Oh, it could be you. Oh, I know you don't think it could be you because you're solid. You're a good person. Godly, God-fearing. God would not let you be in that position. Wait a minute. You can't believe in God and that God would not let you get in that position, and you see someone else in that position and you not have some kind of compassion for helping them. I mean, I could be wrong. You may be a totally heartless person. I just don't see how you could stand up and have blood pumping through your veins if you're a heartless person. I don't see how you could at any point feel so isolated in your strength that you have no room for appreciating other people's weakness. We all contribute. The people who resist you, the people who work against you, actually are working for you because they help you determine your strength. They help you determine how much passion you have to have in order to get where you're going. Resistance is as important as support. Some of the things that cause us to resist really make us demonstrate our strength. I resist the idea that you shouldn't vote, even if you're not voting for who I want you to vote for. I need you to express yourself. If you just sit there and you never speak, you never say anything, that's not fair either. You have to express yourself. You have to say what your feelings are. Don't just let me decide every day and you just either thumbs up or thumbs down. You make a decision in the beginning too. Make a suggestion. Make a step up. We all think we're right. Nothing wrong with thinking you're right, but there's something wrong with not acknowledging that you could possibly be wrong. Maybe just a little bit inconvenient to the rest of the world. Maybe not quite accurate in the way you see it. Not quite, just a little bit off. But that little bit, man, could mean a lot, especially if that little bit that you're off says and ends up causing a lot of other people to do without. Now, who am I talking about? Those are the people that we elect. Oh, my goodness. How important is your vote? How important is it that when you do decide to compromise and when you do decide to let someone else be in charge, how do you make that decision? Is it simply because it's their turn? Or is it because they have spoken with you and the two of you, the three of you, the group of us have determined that, though it may not be that convenient for me as an individual, it's definitely the best thing for the team to do. What is our team going to do? How are we going to determine what's best, not just for me and not just for you, but for our kids, our grandkids, and everybody else that's looking? How do we make those decisions? Or do you even care? Should you care? I think you should. We'll be back right after this short break. We're going to continue this conversation, or it's not a conversation. I'm the only one talking. We're going to continue listening to my stream of consciousness about what makes us so damn hard-headed about appreciating the value of each other's thoughts. We'll be right after this short break.
Hello, I am Modest. You know they say it's not a party until the West had it, right? Or until the West crashed. Yeah. You know what else they say? What they say? If you can't beat them or beat me. Get out my way. Modest is my name. Tell me what you staring at. BFM's the gang. You know what I'm getting at. Hustling for them 100 racks like a Charger running back. I keep it cracking till the sun starts coming back. I'm all gangster, but I'm so spectacular. Can't have a party without the left coast representative. Ladies, put your hands up, you're in need of affection. Cause you got my manhood standing at attention. Tonight I'm choosing, but not that scope like honey. Just the right little mama to give daddy the money. Hope you came along. Tell me what you're sipping on. You know the rules, drink that, we going home. The DJ's got me fired up. The music's cranking. I'm in here with my lighter up. Looking for some action. The whole world wanna know.
All right, this is Empire Talks Back. I'm Wallace Allen. I just, once again, play you some music that you might agree with, might disagree with. But here we are at election time. Now I can sit here and tell you who to elect, who to vote for. Wallace Allen said you should for for supervisor, for assembly, for legislature, for governor. Most of you have already made your mind up who you're going to vote for. I'm not upset with that because on November 4th, that's the day after November 3rd, that's the day after the election, we'll still be here. And we're going to have to get along with the fact that some of the things that we wanted to vote for and wanted to have passed. Some of the people we wanted elected were elected. But some of the people that we didn't want to have elected were also elected. And some of the things that we didn't vote for, propositions, measures, etc., passed anyway. So what are we going to do? You going to go jump off a cliff? Come on. You're going to run around with same signs being mad because somebody else won? Or are you going to get about your business? Oh, now that's the issue. Many of us didn't know we had a real business, that we had a real agenda, that we had a real life flow that we were involved in. So you lose the election and you're raising hell at home. And, I mean, why raise the hell at home? Your family didn't cause you the issue. If you got a passion about something that took place that you don't like, make a plan. Move forward but you can't sit in the corner being ticked off. You can't mumble and grumble and hate for 4 years simply because I know they did it to you. Well, look how they did me. Look how they did Obama. Look how they're doing Bush. Come on. Nobody was perfect. I mean, everybody that liked Bush didn't like him because he was perfect. Everybody that liked Obama didn't like him because he's perfect. Everybody that hates Trump doesn't hate him because he's totally evil. He's not totally evil. He may have a bunch of stuff that you disagree with, but believe me, there's somebody not far away from you who agrees with the same thing you disagree with about him. Believe me. I can rock and rail about, and you've heard me do it, the whole attitude, the sexism in America is as bad as the racism in America. And we've got people who protect both of them. Protect sexism, they protect racism. They protect the idea that, it's just and fair that 1% has all the money. Because the rest of them, if they knew what to do, they would have the money. If they were smart like we are, they would have. Okay. So we are lopsided in terms of where our wealth is. That means we're lopsided in terms of where our poverty is. That means we're possibly lopsided in where we are intellectually dealing with this. But we'll only know by coming to the center of the table and talk about it. We've got to talk about it. We've got to, I mean, if you are the 99% and the 1%ers don't come to the table, hey, what do you do if you're 99%? The 1% are dependent on you to spend money on something. Well, pick one of those 1%ers out and say, you know what, we ain't buying his stuff. Let's scare the rest of them to death by showing what we're going to do to the one that we have chosen to man-cot. Because if you boycott somebody that deep, that ain't boycotting, that's man-cotting. That's saying that, you know what, your principles and policies about life are so terrible that I am not going to spend a penny on anything that supports you. Anything. Now, that means I may have to sacrifice. What if it's my favorite ice cream? Huh? What if it's the gas that I use in my favorite? What if it's my car? Sacrifice, invest, call it what you want to. But you can make a change if you decide to make a change. So if the 99% who are not with money decide they want to operate on the 1% with the money, seems like to me, social media, we've got ability to talk to everybody. We can do things now that we couldn't do in the darkness of silence-free technical days. So start a mission if that's your mission. I think it's a good idea to make yourself be heard. You're going to be displeased on November 4th. I can guarantee you. Some is going to be pleased, but most of us are going to be displeased. November 6th, election. Okay. I'm getting signals from outer space. Maybe you're getting signals from inner Earth. But we all are on the planet, and we need to do something to be sure that the planet doesn't cough and sneeze and throw us out of the saddle here. Now, some of us agree that, well, maybe we as people are not treating the earth correctly. And some others are saying, well, it's just a natural flow. The earth doesn't, it gets hotter, it gets cold. It's doing what it would do normally. Well, if that's the case, we still have some preparations, no matter who's right. One of them is we need to figure out what's going to happen for the people who are on the shorelines. The water's rising. The temperatures are going up. Weather incidents are getting more drastic. Hurricanes, rain. How do we deal with it? Well, some people, I don't know. Some people would just as soon not help anyone. I don't know who those people are. I've not actually seen anyone who laughs at what occurred with the hurricane. I've not seen anybody laugh at the devastation. I've not seen anyone say that we should not ever do anything to help other people. But I do know that if we had the attitude fully of helping other people, that the world wouldn't be the situation that it's in. That people in the Sudan, and people in India, people in Haiti, people in Arkansas, people in California, people on the other side of the border wouldn't be hungry, wouldn't be going without, because we certainly have more than enough. We certainly throw away more food than is needed to feed everybody on the planet. I don't understand why we don't do a better job, but maybe my children will. Maybe they'll figure it out. Maybe they'll figure out how we can do a better job. Maybe the people who are hungry are going to be the ones who figure out how to be better at distributing the assets and resources that we have. Maybe that's why we need to do for them, because the experience that they've gone through will allow them to do for us, to prevent us from having to go through that. I often think that if we were in a cold winter where the planet went cold because of some disaster or catastrophe, that those who have been comfortable living inside would probably then start depending on the people who have been uncomfortable living outside, who would actually know what to do in a circumstance where civilization was no longer prevalent. So people who've been forced to live outside of civilization would actually become the leadership in an uncivilized world, would they not? So how you treat people, knowing that the circle goes around, that we all think we're right, and chances are we are all right at some time or another. Even a broken clock is right twice a day. We need to be able to get along with each other, whether we are individually right or wrong, because sooner or later we will need each other. Now, I know I'm right. I know that I'm right, that you're going to find somebody that needs some help today, and you're going to have a decision to make. Should I pull the car over and give this guy a couple of bucks? Or should I keep my schedule and keep on going? Or should I share this food, or should I just throw it away? I've got all of these clothes in my closet that are just in the way, and should I just put them in the trash, or should I take an extra minute and actually take them over to the Goodwill store or to my church secondhand shop? Or what can I really do to share my resources? Do I want to share my resources? I heard a lady say, if you're really so concerned about what's going on with other people, when you leave your house in the morning, you should just leave the doors open so the homeless people can come use it. Wow. Sure did make me feel that I'm not doing enough. Because that hit me. He said, whoa, wait a minute. I'm bragging about how much I'm willing to do for other people? Wow, that's a good question, Wallace. Why don't you just leave your doors open, your refrigerator with notes on it, and then tell people, hey, I'm gone, but you can come in and hang out? Okay. All right. So you came up with a great suggestion that I'm not willing to go through. So we need to sit down and talk about that one. I don't think I could quite do that one. Maybe I could, maybe I couldn't. But I tell you, somebody'd have to really do some talking to make me leave home with my doors open, inviting the homeless to come in. But I tell you what, I am not happy when I see a homeless person. I'm not happy when I see someone sleeping on the street. I'm not happy when I see someone standing along the freeway with their hands out. I am not made happy by other people's inconveniences. I'm made to feel a little bit inadequate. If you feel the same way I do, then do what I'm going to do today. I'm going to help somebody some kind of way. I'm going to do something to make myself feel more full about not just saying God has blessed me, but sharing that blessing with someone else. Gosh, guys, thanks for spending your time with me. Some of you are really doing a good job, and I wish that I were able to compare myself with the great work that you're doing. But meanwhile, we'll do the best that we can. And we'll see you next week under two circumstances. One, if the good Lord's willing. Two, if the creek don't rise. God bless you. Thank you for yourself. Thank you for everyone else. And thank you for thanking me. God bless you. Bye.
Loma Linda, 1050 AM, 106.5 FM, and now 102.3 FM. Hi, folks. If you're still paying for electricity every month, it means you haven't signed up for the Inland Empire's #1 money savings program offered by Horizon Solar Power. Just call to qualify your home, and Horizon will give you $100 plus pay your electric bill until 2020. It's that simple. Call, qualify, get $100, and no electric bill payments until 2020.